Hello, friends, family, world. Luke here with episode 14 of our Eurotrip travel series. If you aren't caught up, go to our Eurotrip 2019 playlist up here and go to episode 1 to start from the beginning. Alright guys, let's dive into part 1 of our experience in the Faroe Islands. From where we last left off, we were finishing up our time in Paris. Atlantic Airways, which is the national airline of the Faroe Islands, recently started offering direct flights from Paris to the Faroe Islands. So we boarded our flight straight for Voar Airport. Just a bit of background for those of you who aren't quite familiar with this part of the world. The Faroe Islands are located roughly between Scotland, Norway, and Iceland. They're mostly self-governing, but are technically within the realm of the Kingdom of Denmark. Their currency, the Faroese krona, is tied directly to the Danish currency, and I believe they also fall under the protection of the Danish military should they need it. We arrived at the airport in the afternoon and took a bus to the nearby town of Midvágur, where we had booked an Airbnb for the night. We chose to spend our first night here because we had a car rental scheduled for early the next morning and didn't want to be too far away from the airport to pick it up. We arrived at our Airbnb, which we found was really cute and quaint, dropped off our bags, and walked around the small town of Midvágur. We were also treated to a beautiful sunset from our accommodation. The next morning, we returned to the airport to pick up our rental car. We drove to the northwestern part of the island of Vágur to the town of Gásadalur, where you can find the famous Gásadalur waterfall, which is absolutely stunning. From there, we did a short and easy hike along the cliff edge where you get magnificent views of the surrounding ocean and mountains. After this, we headed back to Midvágur and parked our car at Lake Survogsvatn, where there's a hike trailhead towards Trælanípa. This hike was absolutely beautiful and probably one of the most famous vistas of the Faroe Islands. Do be aware though that many of the popular hikes in the Faroe Islands have recently started to implement fees to use them, and they aren't necessarily cheap. If you want to learn a bit more about these fees and our personal feelings about them, be sure to check out our blog post at lukeandtyler.com, where we also feature some of the photography of the beautiful places that we visit. I'll post a link to the blog post pertaining to this part of our trip in the Faroe Islands down in the description box below. Although our day had admittedly been quite busy enough as it was, the weather was absolutely gorgeous and we wanted to make the most of it and explore as much as we could. So we headed across several islands to the town of Vidareidi on the island of Vioi. The hike takes you up Villingardalsfjall mountain, which gives you amazing views of the northern islands. The hike was quite steep and we didn't fully feel up to doing the entire hike, so we did about halfway up before we decided to return down. After our descent, we walked a bit around the town of Vidareidi, which, like many Faroese towns, is quite small but quite charming. Afterwards, we started making our drive back towards Torshavn, which is the capital of the Faroe Islands, and where we had booked an Airbnb to act as our base for the remainder of our trip on the Faroe Islands. The drive was gorgeous, which we learned would be the standard for pretty much all of our drives around the Faroe Islands, and we really enjoyed just taking our time driving and enjoying the scenery. Alright guys, that is it for part 1 of our experience in the Faroe Islands. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and also comment and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. Stay tuned for part 2 of our experience in the Faroe Islands, where we enjoy more stunning scenery as well as what I would consider the most beautiful bike ride we've ever done. See you then. Bye.